Today we are going to talk about the very basics of Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word is a program used for creating documents such as essays, letters, address labels, resumes, brochures, and so on. Documents can be saved in multiple formats as well as printed out. Today we are going to discuss how to create a new document, how to change your font, how to add bullet points and lists, how to change spacing in your paragraphs, and how to copy and paste. So first things first, let's open up Microsoft Word. Now the Microsoft Word I have on my computer is 2016. If you have an older or newer version of it, it should still be very similar. These are different templates that you are more than welcome to use. Sometimes, let's say if you're trying to write a resume or you wanted a calendar, it's easier just to pull from a template that someone else has already created. But for our purposes today, we are going to open a blank document. Now this is what your blank document looks like. Up at the top here is where we have all of our options. Now as you can see here, this is your font and your font size. If there's a specific font that you need to use, you can just click these drop down arrows next to each one and then select the font you would like. Usually everyone prefers Times New Roman. Add a 12-point font. This A with the arrow upwards and this A with the arrow down will also change your font bigger and smaller. And I'm only going to go over the icons that most of you are probably going to use. Then we have our bullet point list, we have our numbered list, we have our indentations here, we have our paragraph spacing here with the double arrows pointing up and down, and then we have our alignment here for our writing. Right here you have your font color. It defaults to black even though it's red underneath. It's automatically black unless you change that. And then you can also highlight, and then over here you can bold, italicize, and underline your words. Now I'm going to go through each one of these and show you what it would look like. So let's start by writing a few sentences. Okay, now I'm going to go through each one of these and show you what it looks like. To change anything on this page, you are going to have to highlight it. And so what you'll do is you will click and drag, and it highlights the section that you want to change. So to make it easier for you guys to see, I'm just going to highlight this entire section here. Okay, we can change the font here. Let's click that drop down arrow. And you can see as you're hovering over each one, it's changing it on the screen so you can see what it would look like. And it's going to do the same thing over here for your font size. You can also click on this big A. You see it changed it to 14. Now it's at 16. And then you can hit the little a to lower it. Now we're down to 12. If you wanted this to be a bullet pointed list, you can click on the bullet point here. You see it added that. You can also click on it again to get rid of it. Same thing with numbers. These indentations, usually you'll use this if you're starting a new paragraph. If you don't know that you can tab over to get that nice indentation, you can also click up here and indent it over and then back. Then we can bold, we can italicize, we can underline, we can highlight it. If you highlight it, just highlight it again and unclick that. Then if we select it again, we can change the color, and as you hover over, it will show you what the color would look like. Then we have our alignment. So right now we're on a left alignment. You can center. You can do a right alignment. You can also do it so that it's a square all the way down your page. In this one, you only really notice once you have a lot more than just the two sentences that we have right now. But we'll go back to left alignment. That's pretty standard. And for the spacing, let me show you. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the second sentence and we're going to put it underneath the first sentence. And to do that, we're going to click right before the R, and you're going to hit enter on your keyboard. and that drops it down right there to the second line. Now if we highlight this and click at these double arrows, you can see the different spacing options. And you can see right below it, the end of that word awesome is slowly getting either closer or further away from that first line. Now, if you wanted to copy and paste anything, you are going to highlight the section, right click, and hit copy. Then let's say you wanted to copy it right underneath. We're going to hit enter again to go to the third line. You're going to right click again, and you're going to hit paste. Now we can either hit this first or this third option. This third option you'll probably only use if you have copied a whole article that has a lot of pictures and advertisements in it. This third option will pull the text from that, so you don't copy over the pictures and ads and anything else that might have been copied over. But since we only copied words, we're just going to click on this first option here. You can also select it and hit Control, and then as you're holding down Control, hit the letter C for copy. And then we can go down to this next line, and then you'll hold down Control again, and you'll hit V, V as in victory, and that pastes it. Now if you wanted to make this into a bulleted list, we can click on the top here right before I, and click on those bullet points up here. And if you wanted to make all of this a list of bullets, you can select everything here and then click on the bullets again. Now if you wanted to change it to numbering, we can select everything and then hit the numbers right next to the bullets. If you ever wanted to get rid of a number, let's say right here at number 5, you want that to be completely separate, what we can do is hit your backspace and hit backspace again and again, and that gets it back to that indentation, and you can just do the same thing right below it as well. Now I'm going to show you the spelling correction software in Word. So if I misspell a word, let's go down, let's hit enter and go down to a new line. If I misspell a word like here, it underlines it in red. If you want to get the correct spelling of this, right click on it and it will give you some options here. And you can click on any option to change it. If you ever wanted to undo anything that you did, you can go up here and click on this undo button. And you can keep on clicking this as long as you want, and it will continuously undo whatever you've done. If this is, let's say, your last name or the name of a town or anything, and you don't want it to be underlined in red, you can just right click on it and you can hit either ignore or you can add it to your dictionary. So if you ever type this word again, it will not continue to underline in red. But for our purposes, let's just change it right here. If you were to print off a document that has a bunch of red underlines, those underlines are not going to print off on your document. So you don't have to worry about that. Now that we have some text, I can show you how we can format our page differently. So we are going to go here to the Layout tab. And here on the Layout tab, there might be only 3 things that you'll probably use. You'll probably only use the margins, the orientation, and the columns option. Now the margins here, it defaults to 1-inch margins around your entire page. So that's 1 inch from the sides and the top and bottom. If you ever wanted to change that, just click on this arrow right underneath margins. And it shows you a few different options that you can have. You can also create custom margins. And this is, let's say you want 2 inches all around. So we'll do 2 for top, left, bottom, and right. And then we're going to hit OK. As you can see, the preview has changed here as well. And that has changed what we had typed out before. Now we can click on this drop down again, and we'll just go back to normal. But I just wanted to show you that option that is available for you. You can also change the orientation from portrait to landscape. And you can toggle between each of these. So we'll just click on landscape, and you see how that changed the page right here Then we can go back to portrait, which is what most of you will probably be using. And lastly, we can add columns. And we can go all the way up to more columns. We can add as many columns really as we would like. But if you wanted to add a few columns, let's do 2 columns. Now what that does, let me show you. I'm going to select all of this and copy it. And now to get to the second column, we basically have to go and hit enter until we are all the way down here at the bottom. And then that last enter took me to the top of this second column. And then I can paste again. And you can see now that this page has 2 columns. For most of you, this is all that you will need in order to type out a letter or anything else that you might need to use Word for. So we'll stop here for now. So once you are done, we can save your document. So we'll go up to File, and then we can either hit Save or Save As. I like hitting Save As because it lets you choose the location that you'd like to save your file. And it's under this PC. We can hit Browse. And I'm going to save it to my desktop. And I'll just keep the file name as I Love Reading. If you wanted to save it as a different file type, for example, if you have a resume here and you wanted to save it as a PDF, that means that it would basically take a picture of your document and it would send it to whoever you'd like, and they would not be able to add or change anything in that document because it took a picture of it. We can go to File, Save As again, Browse. We'll click on Desktop, and right here, Save As Type, click on this drop down arrow here, and you can see these are all the different formats that you can save this as. So if we save it as a PDF and hit Save, it's going to open up the PDF that we just saved. And because this is a PDF and it took a picture of it, we cannot change anything that is here. It won't let us type anything. So this is nice if you have something like a resume that you want to send out to people, but you do not want them to be able to accidentally erase anything or add anything. And this concludes our basic overview of Microsoft Word. The best way to get proficient at using it is to practice. If you don't own Microsoft Word, it is installed on every library computer. So you can always come in and get a computer and use it. If you have any additional questions, you can always go to your library and they can help you with Word. But once again, the best way to get used to it, get better at it, is to continue to practice.